One day, Kichaka, the brother of Queen Sudeshna, came to visit her. While there, he happened to see Sairandri, Draupadi in disguise, and was immediately captivated by her beauty. He couldn't help but ask his sister, "Who is this stunning woman? I've never seen anyone so beautiful. What is her caste? Where is she from?" His numerous questions and the intense way he looked at Sairandri made it clear to Sudeshna that Kichaka had fallen deeply in love with her.
Trying to distract him, Sudeshna said, "Your brother-in-law, the king, wants to see you. He's inside. Go talk to him." But Kichaka ignored her and persisted in asking about Sairandri. "How long has she been working for you?" he pressed. Realizing she couldn't evade his interest, Sudeshna reluctantly replied, "She's been here for the last 10 months, working as my Sairandri. She told me she comes from a noble family and doesn't want to speak with any men, not even the king. Besides, she's not the only beautiful woman in the world. I warn you to leave her alone. Her 5 Gandharva husbands, who are invisible, protect her. Now if you don't want to see the king, you should go home and rest." Ignoring his sister's warnings, Kichaka headed straight to where Sairandri was making garlands. He introduced himself confidently, saying, "I am Kichaka, the commander-in-chief of Matcha's army. You are the most beautiful woman I've ever seen, and I can't stand the thought of you wasting away as a mere servant. Come with me, and I will make you my queen. You'll live in luxury." Bhima admired Yudhishthira's wisdom and patience. He added, "We need to wait for the right moment, otherwise we'll just become a joke to both our friends and enemies." Draupadi, realizing this, praised Yudhishthira, saying, "I'm aware of his greatness and all his good qualities, but in times of humiliation and despair, he becomes the easiest one to blame." Bhima advised her to stay calm and not to escalate the situation. The next day, as Draupadi, disguised as Sairandri, went about her tasks, Kichaka rushed to her again, repeating his advances. She firmly refused and warned him, "You should stop this madness. Your pursuit of me will lead to your destruction. A wolf shouldn't try to make a lioness his mate. If you don't change your ways, my husbands the 5 Gandharvas will show you no mercy." Kichaka, unbothered, replied, "Whether you agree or not, you will be mine. I'm willing to die for you if needed." Draupadi slipped away quietly and Kichaka went straight to his sister Sudeshna. "Sister, don't stop me. I've made up my mind and won't back down. As your brother, I expect your help. I've done so much for you and your husband. You owe me this favor out of affection, gratitude, or just common sense," he said. Sudeshna, sensing her brother's lustful intentions, tried to keep the situation from escalating. "Please, don't cause any inappropriate scenes here. Go home, and I'll send her to fetch some wine from your house," she said. Kichaka didn't wait for her to finish. He rushed off, eager to set his plan into motion. Afterward, Sudeshna called Draupadi and said, "I'm not feeling well. Could you please go to my brother's house and bring me some wine?" Draupadi immediately sensed the trap and thought of a way out. She replied, "My queen, I told you from the beginning that I wouldn't do menial tasks. I don't want to go to your brother's house." Sudeshna, slightly offended by Draupadi's refusal, composed herself and calmly responded, "Sairandri, I've always treated you with respect. In fact, I was going to visit my brother myself, but I don't want to send just anyone. You are my closest companion, and I trust you to go in my place. The choice is yours." Left with no option, Draupadi reluctantly accepted the task. Cursing her fate, she took a golden jar in hand and set off toward Kichaka's house. On her way to Kichaka's house, Draupadi prayed to the sun god for protection. Kichaka, eagerly awaiting her arrival, greeted her with anticipation. Draupadi said, "Your sister, the queen, has sent me to collect some of your finest wine because she's not feeling well and needs it urgently." With a sly grin, Kichaka responded, "I know my sister is perfectly fine. She sent you here for me," and he grabbed her hand forcefully. Draupadi struggled to free herself from his grip and ran out into the street. Kichaka, now chasing her, caught up and kicked her in public. Humiliated and furious, Draupadi ran to the court of King Virata and pleaded, "Your Majesty, Kichaka has assaulted me in broad daylight. Today, it's my honor at risk. Tomorrow, it could be the safety of all women in your kingdom. I beg you to take swift action." King Virata, taken aback by Draupadi's beauty, hesitated and gave an evasive response, saying, "I don't know the full story. I need to hear Kichaka's side before making any decision." The courtiers, all afraid of Kichaka's power, remained silent. Bhima, witnessing this injustice, was enraged beyond words. His eyes blazed, his lips quivered, and his body shook with fury. He stared intensely at a nearby tree, ready to tear it from the ground and take down both Virata and Kichaka. Sensing Bhima's anger, Yudhishthira, disguised as Kunka, subtly intervened. He said, "My dear Valala, you shouldn't uproot a healthy tree that provides shelter and fruit. There are plenty of withered plants around, perhaps you should focus on them." Bhima understood the hint from his older brother and managed to calm down, realizing it would be a grave mistake to harm Virata, who had provided them with refuge. Yudhishthira then advised Draupadi, "Go back to the women's quarters of the palace. This is not the place for a dramatic display, and haste will not bring justice. Leave now, as nothing can be done at this moment." Draupadi, angry and frustrated, replied, "If the king won't act, then I expect my husbands to avenge this crime," and left. On her way, she stopped by Brihanala, Arjuna in disguise, at the dance hall. The women often gathered around Brihanala, who was regarded as an extraordinary eunuch. Draupadi told him everything about Kichaka's assault, seeking his help.